So coming to today's class, so we are going to discuss more operations that we can do in pandas. Okay, so import pandas as pd, import numpy as np, and I'll do pd dot set options. So display dot max call will be none, and pd dot set option of display dot max rows. So this max columns. Yeah. Okay. So let's load our data. So like we have used last class, so we are going to use the same data set. So video game sales, and we know dot head. So this is our data, sample data, as we have seen in the last class. Now we are going to work on some miscellaneous operations that you will do while for a data set. Okay, so as we know how to see the null values and all, right? So dot is in a or dot is null dot sum and all, you'll get to find, right? So let's say null values. Okay, so video game sales dot is null dot sum. So this function generally gives us like null values for each column. Okay, how many number of null values for each column. So now what we are going to do is, so generally whenever you have null values in your data, you will either you will remove that null values, or you will extract either fill those null values. Okay, either you'll remove, or you will replace those null values with some appropriate value. Okay, so now let's see how to remove and how to replace. Okay, so remove or replace null values. Okay, so to remove or to replace the null values, first let's keep the data. Okay, let's keep the data set in multiple copies. Okay, so we have video sales, game sales dot copy. Okay, so I'll put this one in remove. Okay, so remove underscore data frame, and replace underscore data frame is equal to sales.copy. Okay, so same data set, guys. Okay, so both are same data set. I'm just putting a copy of it. Okay, I'm just putting a copy of it. So remove df. So in this remove df, we are going to remove the null values. Okay, we are going to remove the null values. So let's first see how are we going to remove the null values. Okay, so to remove the null values in general, remove df dot drop na. Okay, drop na. So drop na is nothing but directly it is saying dropping null values. Okay, dropping null values. Just execute this, that's it. So when you execute this one, so it is going to remove all the null values. That means whatever the record, okay, whatever the record that it consists of null values, all those records will be gone. Okay, all those records will be gone. So of course here it is not showing shape. Okay, let's do one thing, let's store this one in a new variable. Okay, so or else like this I'll show you dot shape while do. Okay, so what's coming? 6825 records are there. Okay, 6825 rows are there. So normally how many are there? Remove. So here I'm not doing permanent change. Okay, so this is not going to be permanent. Okay, so to become permanent we have to either store in a variable, or there is one more parameter called in place. that we have to make it true. I'll show you that. But here, if you are not mentioning anything like a variable, if you are not storing anywhere, so it is not a permanent change that happened. Okay, it is not removed permanently. All the null value records are not removed permanently. So what happened here is, so removed the records. Okay, remove the rows. Okay, remove the rows where there is at least, okay, at least one null value, okay, in any column. So basically, whatever the column it could be, okay, if at all one value is also an empty value, a null value, so then that particular whole row will be removed. Okay, whole row will be removed. So that's what the thing that is happening here. Okay, it is going to remove then the record wherever there is a null value in any column. Okay, single null value also. So that's why it was removed. So to remove, this is a temporary change. Okay, so removed temporarily. So this is only temporary change. To make it permanent change, what we can do is, so remove df dot drop na. So store it in a variable. Okay, so let's say remove underscore df1. Okay, so copy, execute it, and now you can see remove df1 dot shape. It has 6825 comma 16. So this is one way. So we are storing in a variable. Okay, so now next what we can do is permanent change in same variable. Okay, permanent change in the same variable. So that means in remove underscore df itself we can do the permanent change. So remove underscore df dot drop na. So in drop na you can just mention one thing called in place is equals to true. So come down, you can see in place is equals to false. Okay, so this one I will make it as in place is equals to true. Okay, now permanently all the records have gone. Okay, remove underscore df dot shape. Okay, so now it is permanently changed. Previously here I am showing, I'm doing the dot shape here directly after the drop in, so that's why it is showing the records, but it was not saved permanently. The operation wasn't permanent, it was temporary change. Okay, but anyhow here we are doing one thing called in place is equals to true. See, same command, okay, same command, but inside we are changing one parameter in place. Okay, in place is equals to true is making the permanent deletion of the data, okay, of the null values. So that's what you can do. So any doubts here in this part, okay, fine. So moving on, now what we'll do is replace null values. Okay, replace null values. So for replacing, okay, for replacing we have to replace that null value with some other value. Okay, some other value. So first of all, let's take replace df. So there are a lot of different null values, right? So to do replace with the null value with any other value, so replace df dot fill na. Okay, so we are going to do fill na, filling the null values. Okay, filling the null values. So for fill na, what you can do is you have to put some value. Okay, you have to give some value. With what value you are going to replace that with? Okay, with what value you are going to replace that particular null value with? So you can see value. Okay, so value and method. So and in place. So in place is equal to false. So to make it permanent change, in place is equal to true. Okay. So what you can do is you can just simply pass any value. So let's first of all let's pass some value. Okay. Let's pass some value and we'll do it. So fill na. Okay. Fill na off. So let me do it with some or else fill any. Okay, I'm just writing something. Okay, I'm just writing something here. Okay, and I'll do dot is null dot sum. So you can see here there are no null values now because everything is filled with fill any. Okay, everything is filled with fill any. So let me show you again with the values. I'll put dot head of some 1000. Okay, so you can see here. So the NA values, whatever the null values are there, NaN values, those are now filled with the value that I passed. Okay, every record. Okay, so every record is being filled with this value. Okay, every record is being filled with this fill NA value. Okay, but actually it is not right way to give so fill NA and all. So you can actually remove it, or there are another ways. Okay, there are another ways to do. So replace df dot fill NA. So now here we have replaced with some fill NA in a string. Okay, some string we are replacing. But actual thing is you have to replace with like there are some methods. Okay, so like when you see this function. Okay, so there is method option called backfill, bfill, pad, ffill and none. Okay, so here you can see each and everything what it does. Okay, so backfill or bfill use next valid observation to fill gap, and pad or ffill will be the forward one. So like the previous and the front. So that means, for example, in your data, so this is a null value. If I write backfill, whatever the previous value for this, which is 76, that will be filled here. Okay, so if I say front fill, ffill, the next value will be filled here. Okay, the next value will be filled here. So let's see that. So method is equals to ffill. Okay, now I'll put dot head of that's it. Okay, so here you can see front fill. Okay, sorry, front fill. So whatever I think I told you vice versa, but yeah. So 76, the value, whatever the value is here, it was replaced here. Okay, so like that. And for 70, for this one, so the previous one which is 73, for this one which is 80, that will be filled. Okay, so 80 and 73, that was filled. So like that. So if you put ffill, so it is going to do the front fill, so which is our previous one, that is going to do. And coming to the next one, you can do bfill. So now this one will be the next one. Okay, so whatever the next value, so let me put some 10 here. Okay, but anyhow, so you can see here 82, okay, 82, and this two 65 and 65. So like this, whatever the null values are there, it will be replaced based on the method that you pass. Okay, the method that you pass. So like this you can replace. Okay, but other than this, you can also replace with some other thing. Let me show you. This is most best way to do. Replace df dot fill NA. So let's do one thing, np dot mean. So let's do this, and let's put sorry, dot head. So here what's happening is, so above we have replaced that with 82, but now this is replaced with 68.967679. That means I am doing the average of that of our data frame. Okay, I am doing average of our data frame. So if I do this, what happened is, so I'll get the values whichever the numerical column values are there, those I'll get. Okay, those I'll get, and so it will be replaced with that particular value. Okay, that particular value. So that means, so in the critic score column you can see 68.96. So that was replaced here, 68.96. And coming to the critic count, it is 26.36. So it is done here. Okay, it is done here. So like that it will replace. So if you are doing mean, then it is going to do the mean. Okay, it is going to do the mean. Okay, otherwise, so for string kind of columns, okay, for string kind of columns, what you can do is you can do the mode. Okay, mode, or you can say the how many number of times each, so what one particular value will be repeated more number of times. Okay, more number of times it will be repeated. So you can replace that. Okay, if you want, you can simply replace that. So let's see whether mode is there or not. No mode. Replace df dot think I have to do. Yeah. Okay, so the thing is, for the name column you have three things which are having equal number of times repeated. Okay, for this one, but remaining you can see PS2, platform PS2 is repeated more number of times, year of release 2008 is repeated more number of times, action genre repeated more times, electronic arts repeated more times. So like that. So critic count 17 is repeated more times, critic score is 80, like that. So you can do something like this. Okay, you can do something like this to replace. Okay, so let's do this, let's use it. But I'm not sure, so because we have three names in the name column, so let's see what happens. So here I'll put, instead of np.mean of replace tf, I'll put remove mode. Yeah, okay. So we got okay, it isn't changed. No, I think that is making the mistake because of three values that were there in that name column. So maybe that is making an impact, so that's why it is not inserting. So if there are single values in every column, then this would have worked. So what we can do is we can do value counts, and we can make the topmost thing. Okay, topmost thing. But even though, for the name column it will be repeated again. Okay, so for that kind of scenarios mode doesn't work, but generally, so if you have mode, so if whichever the value is repeated more number of times, that you can do. Or else let's see one thing. So for a particular column, how you can do, how you can fill null values, I'll say. Okay, so replace df of, so let's go to critic score dot is null dot sum. Okay, so for critic score column, this is repeated more number of times, 858, sorry, 8582 number of null values are there. So now what we'll do is, so dot fill na. So it should be for a data frame, so let's put two square brackets, fill na. So what we'll do is, so this one I'll replace with dot mode. Okay, yeah. Still no, not replacing. Let's do one more thing. Dot value counts. Okay. So you can go with the index. So in this one you can go with the first one. Okay, so let's take this, copy it here. Yeah. So this is working. I think mode is not working basically. So but here we are trying to replace with the using the value counts, whichever the value is most highly repeated number of times. So basically it's nothing but mode only. So 70 is repeated more number of times. So I am just taking that value because 70 is repeated like a lot of times. Okay, more number of times. So that's why we are taking that. Okay, so like this you can do whichever the value is repeated more number of times, you can do it. And this is for only for particular column. Okay, for particular column you can do it like this. Okay, and then you can store it like this. Okay. So let me do one thing. So replace underscore df of again, copy, and you can do is equal to, and you can paste, you can just copy pasting simply. Okay, you're just making the change and you're storing it here like this directly. Okay, or you can do in place is equals to true. Okay, or you can do in place is equal to like we did previously. Okay, like above we did, right? So in the same way, so you can do it and you can store it. Okay, that also is fine, that also works. Okay, so like this you can do replace with any value you want. Okay, simply you just wanted to give some value, it is fine. Okay, it will work. And or else if you wanted to give any particular meaningful value, you can use backfill, front fill, mean, median, mode. So anything you want you can give. Okay, any operation that you want you can give. So that also will work. Okay, so any doubts till this part? So we did removing the null values as well as replacing the null values. Okay, fine then. Next. So till now for our data frame, so there are lots of predefined functions are there, right? But you can also do apply user defined functions. Okay, so if you want to apply any user defined function for your data frame, okay, you can create a function. Okay, and you can apply that to our data frame. Okay, so there are two things. So there is one thing called apply. Okay, so there is one function called apply. So inside this apply you can just add your function, whichever function you create, your user defined function you create, you can just pass in here. So for example, so let's take a column first. Okay, so for example what we can do is okay, okay, so before we do anything, so let's take this null values data. Okay, this mean thing. So I'll actually save this one in a variable. Okay, so field data. Okay, field data. So I'll take this one. Yeah, so my data is filled now with some values. Let's go means are there for categorical data. So one second. Yeah, user score is object. Right. That's okay. So we can fill that later. So you can either use ffill or mfill for that. Sorry, bfill. Okay, fine. So now let's do one thing. So in our column, so in our data, so we have seen user score column, which is object kind of data. Okay, object kind of data. So that we can convert. Okay, that we can convert into integer or float based upon that. Okay, based upon the data. So it's actually you can see here 8.3 is there. Okay, so that means it is basically a float data type. Okay, a float data type. So field data dot info, you can see. So this is user score is object. So but I wanted to convert that into float. Okay. So for that, what you can do is there are two ways. Okay, one thing is you can create your user defined function. Of course, predefined functions are there, but I want to show you how to create any user defined function. So define, so type convert. So I'm going to convert my data type, okay, from object to float. Okay, from object to float. So data. So let's say whatever the column or whatever the value that I'm passing, so I'll be converting that into data. Okay, I'll be converting that into data. So let's take the data. So return float of data. Okay, so this is my function simply. Okay, so whatever the data I take, so for that data I will be applying float. Okay, so now we have the filled data of, so let's take user score, sorry, right? So user score, and this is object data type. So for this one, what I can do is I'll do dot apply. Okay, dot apply. So you can apply type convert. Okay, type convert. Oh, okay. So there is one value called TBD. So this TBD cannot be converted into float because it's completely a string. There is no such thing called TBD which can be converted into number. Okay. So for first of all, what we need to do is we need to take care of this kind of things. Okay. We need to take care of this kind of things, TBD and all. Okay. So first of all, let's replace this TBD. For this one, I'm going to show you replace a value in data frame. So filled data dot replace. So I'm going to use this replace function. Okay, and here it is going to ask you to replace and the value. So which value to be replaced and with what value you have to replace. Okay, so there is this thing called TBD, right? TBD, and this value I'll be replacing that with any value. So let's say np dot nan. Okay, null value. I'm going to replace this with null value, and this one will be in place is equal to true. Done. Okay, now filled data of user score dot value underscore counts. So in our data, so there is no TBD here. Okay, TBD is not there. 7.88, 8.2, all that is there, but there is no TBD. Okay, so we are fine. We are good to go. So now we can do the type convert. So type convert is done. So we are using apply, and we are applying this user defined function on this data. Okay, on this data we are doing this. So now what I can do is I'll store this one in our variable called in the same column. Okay, I'm going to store that in the same column. So user score. So filled data dot info. Now you can see here user score is float. Okay, now user score is float. Now what you can do is you can replace. Okay, you can replace that also. And coming to the same case, rating. Okay, so rating is also actually sorry, rating is in number letters. Okay, so fine, no problem. Okay, Fine. So coming to the user count, we have replaced that TBD, and now we have we have applied a type convert to convert the data type from object to integer. Okay, object to integer. So like that you can do for anything. So this is a predefined function I'm doing. Okay, this is a predefined function. So you can apply any predefined function on any kind of column. So for example, coming to okay, so let's do one thing. So let's do total sales. Okay, let's do total sales of whatever the like NA sales, EU sales, JP sales, other sales. Okay, so let's do the total sales. Is it combination of what is this? Think so. 28. Okay, so however global sales is addition of all these four. So okay, so let's do one thing. Let's take the critic score, okay, and find out how much, like in the percentages, okay. So 76. Let's consider highest value as 100 or whatever the highest value is there. So we will convert the rating based upon that, okay. So it's basically I'm going to divide this 76 by the maximum value in that column, okay. So convert the values of critic score column between the range of 0 to 1. Okay, so 0 to 1 means, so if a number is divided by the maximum number of that column, okay, so the maximum number division will become 1. Okay, so if I have 1 2 3 4 5, 5 divided by the maximum value is 5. Okay, so 5 divided by 5 will be 1, and 0 divided by 5 will be the 0. So maximum is 1 and minimum is 0. So like that I am going to do that. Okay, so what I can do is, so define so convert to convert data range. Okay, so let's say convert data range and pass in the data. Okay, so what we can do is we can return data divided by max of data. Okay, so data divided by max of data, or else we can mention column. Okay, and so filled data of critic score. Right, dot apply. So what we can do is we can take that value divided by max of whatever the column name that was there. Okay, so whatever that particular column. But we cannot pass two parameters in apply function. We can only pass one parameter. But anyhow, so let's put one thing. So let's say this is the value. Okay, so this one will be the value, and this one will be max of filled data of critic score. Okay, okay, so directly I'm putting the column name here. Okay, but so because apply function doesn't take two parametered functions, only one parametered functions it can take. Okay, so apply, so convert data range. So what happens is this particular value will be passed here. Okay, and that particular value will be divided with max of this particular column. Okay, so if you see the maximum of the column will be, so 98, so 76 by 98, 68.96 by 98, 82 by 98, so like that will happen. Okay, so execute it. Let's wait for the function to complete. More time than expected. Let's, yeah. Okay, so here you can see, so we know filled data of critic score is this data, right? So first let's check, let's confirm our thing. So 76 divided by 98.0, 0.775. So that's what we got it. Okay. So basically we are actually trying to convert all the data in between the range of 0 to 1. Okay. So what we can do is, let me store this in a variable. Okay. So critic score. So let's say critic underscore score dot max and critic underscore score dot min. Okay, so let me execute this. Let's wait for the previous. Yeah, so you can see the minimum value is 0.13 and the maximum is 1, because the highest value will already be there, which is 98. So 98 divided by 98 will be 1. So that's why the maximum value is 1. Now the critic score minimum is 0.13. Okay. So like this you can do. So yeah, so like this you can apply any functions that you wanted. Okay, you can apply any functions that you wanted. Okay, so that's one thing. Any doubts till this part, like applying any function, any user defined function, creating a user defined function and applying on that data frame and all? Okay, fine. Coming to the next one. Let's do one more thing. So now I am going to show you how to combine two tables. Okay, combining two tables. So let's say we have two small tables. Okay, for example, I'll show with smaller tables. Okay, so that will be better to understand. So let's create two small tables. Okay, so df1 will be, or I think we have pd.data frame of read CSV. Let's do read CSV. Sample files. Let's take students.csv. Right, so we have this one, and let's put one more table column. So df2, let's create ed.read CSV, and in this one let's create one more smaller table. Okay, one more smaller table, and let's keep it like this. Roll number is common, so at least one common column should be there for merging and joining and all. So what I'll do is 001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 5, 1006, and 1007. Okay, now it is related to students, right? So first name, last name, roll number and all. So let's put another column called so grade. Okay, so this particular person, so let's put grade some C. Okay, C. Okay, and for this one let's say some D. Okay, and so some B. Okay, and so let's get to this guy. So B and say A, C, and some C. Okay, this is about the grade, and so let's say let's put it like this. Okay, oh sorry, it should be data frame. Okay, so now df2, if you see, so we have this data. Okay, so this is this data and this is this data, and in the both data frames we have the column roll number as common. Okay, that is a common column. So now we can try to join two tables. Okay, so generally joining, when you are doing a join, so both tables should have a particular common column. Okay, should have common column, so that based on that only it will combine. Okay, so let's do one thing. So there is one thing called, for any data frame, df1 dot join. Okay, df1 dot join, so you need to put the other data. Okay, other data frame. So let's put df2, and it is, we have to mention on which column, using which column we have to do, using roll number. Okay, using roll number. And how will be, so let's put outer join. So outer join means whatever the data on the left hand side table, which is df1, and whatever the data on the right hand side table, which is df2, both will be seen in the output. Okay, so execute this. Okay, one second, not overlap, but no. So as it is mentioned in, there are both tables, there is one thing called l suffix and r suffix. So let's put l suffix as, so suffix is basically nothing but, here in roll we have roll number in this column and roll number in in this data, in both data frames we have roll number. So to differentiate both the data frames, what we can do is we can put a suffix for both. So roll number underscore x will be defined as df1, roll number underscore y will be defined as df2, like that you can mention. So what I'll do is, so l suffix will be df1 and r suffix will be df2. Okay, so let's execute it. Now you can see here, so roll number df1 and roll number df2. So but basically it has to combine with that. So let me put one more thing called axis. One second. Key A, key B. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's move this whole thing. Okay, let's do one thing. So let me just remove this, and there is one more thing called merge, which also use the same joins. Okay, that will work more better. So let's do one thing. So pd dot merge. So let's take df1 and df2. Okay, on the same roll number. Okay, so roll number and followed by how will be, so let's put outer join for now. Okay, now you can see here, for the same roll number, so we have new column called grade added. Okay, so roll number is common, so grade is added here. Okay, grade is added clearly in the last. So for that particular roll number it is assigned clearly. But okay, let's do one thing. So let's reduce some data. Okay, so here I'll have only 5 and 5. Okay, so df2 has only 5 columns. Okay, so in that case, when you do outer join, so there will be any ends. Okay, for these two values, any ends are there because 1006 and 1007 records were not there in df2, so it will be any ends. So same thing I will do with the inner. Okay, so when I do inner join, only the matched columns, okay, only the matched columns will be printed output. Okay, so you can see the last 1006 and 1007 were not matched in the both columns. Okay, the both roll numbers whichever are there, whichever are mentioned, so only those records will be in the output. Okay, so that's the case. And coming to the next one, left. So left join. So basically what happens is here, so all the columns, okay, all the columns in the left hand side data frame will be printed. Okay, all the columns in the left hand data frame will be printed along with the roll number. Okay, and coming to the right join. Okay, so here what you can say is in the right side there is no these two records. Okay, 1006 and 1007 records were not there. Okay, only the records which are present in the right hand side data frame. So that means in df2 only these records are present. Okay, so that's why only those records were printed. Okay, otherwise it is not going to print that columns, that records. Okay, otherwise it is not going to print those records. So that's what. Okay, so that's what the difference between left, inner, right and outer join. So if you want to see the whole data, it would be better to use outer join. Okay, outer join is better to use. Okay, so like this you can join two tables. Okay, like this you can join two tables, or else there's one more thing called concat. So for concat, what you can do is pd dot data frame, you can do df1 comma df2, sorry, pt dot concat. So this one you can see here, the first table till deep learning was fine, but after that roll number and from this part it is adding in the down. Okay, it is adding in the down because there is one option called access. So access is equals to 0. Okay, access is equals to 0 was mentioned. So when I mention access is equals to 0, it does like this. But if I do access is equals to 1, it does side by side. Okay, it does side by side and it is going to print. So you can see here both columns are there, roll number and roll number, both the data frames completely it is going to connect. Okay, completely it is going to join and it is going to print. But there is option for joining also here, comma. So you can see here, so join is equals to outer, but instead, so join we can put inner. So you can see these two records were not there now. Okay, so you can just mention like that, and so this roll number and grade, whatever the data frame data was there, it is going to get added. Okay, so either you can do concat or match. Okay, either you can do concat or match like that. Okay, yeah, so that is how joins are going to work. But okay, it's better to use merge. So if you don't want to see redundant columns and all, but otherwise, but if you have completely separate columns and separate data and all, and you want to combine both data frames, it's better to use concat. Okay, concat with access is equals to 1 to combine those with side by side. Okay, so top and bottom you can do it with this one. So access is equal to 0. So like that you can do. So any doubts till this part? Okay, fine then. So yeah, so with this, like I have discussed most of the pandas. Of course, there will be a lot more, but so moving on, like in the later classes, in other classes also we'll be using pandas and all. So in that we'll do more operations and all. But for today, so with the pandas, this is the last class, and tomorrow we'll be doing visualizations and all with the data sets itself. Okay. So again, we'll come to pandas only, data frames only, and we will be applying visualizations on the data frames. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow in detail how we can create data visualization and all.